Hi everyone. There's quite a lot to get through in this video I want to make today, which is just basically looking at what's going on in British Parliament, and well, rather whoever seems to be in a position of power in Britain: the police, the government, councils, intelligence, the media, the BBC, the royal family. They all are implicated in paedophilia, which really, I think we should lose that word, paedophile. It's an outdated word, it sort of gives some sort of legitimacy to the whole idea of sexually abusing a child. They're sadists, that's the word, sadists. So we have a sadist here, Patrick Rock. He has known David Cameron for 2 decades and spent years working for ministers and attempting to become an MP before returning to Downing Street in 2011. This man was deputy head for policy decisions at Number 10, and he was Cameron's senior advisor. In fact, he was known as David Cameron's fixer, and he was also repeatedly tipped to receive a peerage in recognition of his long political service. And he also worked on child pornography. So we have this man, and we have another story here, which actually gives a clearer report, really, in the Mirror. Cameron's closest aides, 20 years, dubbed the most powerful Cameron advisor most people had never heard of. And he has been arrested and charged for child pornography. He sits watching children being sexually abused for his pleasure. And this man has been head of government policy. He has been making government policy. So he's one that we know about. How many don't we know about? Is it possible that Cameron knew this man for 20 years and he didn't know that he had a thing for children? It's possible. It just seems that there's rather a lot of people like this being exposed in Parliament recently. I mean, we've got Edward Heath. Well, there's such a long list, I won't even go into it. It's just too many to mention, really. What concerns me most is that this man has been head of government policy. He's been in charge of government policy, and he's been devising government policies. And he's been devising the kind of government policies that leave children in Britain hungry. So we have 3.5 million children living in poverty in the UK today. That's 27% of children, 1 in 4. More than 1 in 4. Okay? And this has happened since the Tories came in. Because before the Tories came in, things were not quite as bad as they have been since Cameron's dictatorship. Because that's what it is, really. Let's face it, it's a dictatorship. Nobody voted this man into power. We did not vote him into power, but he's selling our NHS. He has decimated the benefit service, which, alright, say what you like, the scroungers, blah, blah, blah. I've heard it. You know, at the end of the day, pay people a living wage. If you want people to get up off the backside and go to work 30, 40 hours a week, not spend time with the family, you know, give them a wage. They want a living wage. And this country has not paid a living wage for a very, very long time. In fact, probably half the population's on working tax credit. You know, what is that? What is that? Except a benefit for employers, really. So we have this, you know, in some, there are more serious concentrations of child poverty at local level in 100 wards, local wards for example. 50 and 70% of children are growing up in poverty. You know, I mean, what is the point of having children in this world, really? And yeah, they're saying there's too many people. Well, you know, no, there isn't actually. Go forth and multiply. Let me remind you, Mrs. Windsor, who was crowned by God. Okay. God said, go forth and multiply. The absolute truth and fact is, and they know it, is that when you give people a decent life, you give them education, you give them good housing, you give them something to live for, something interesting, that you make them feel like somebody, you know, populations, birth rates drop. In Britain, before Thatcher came in and people's lives were slowly picking up after the war, getting better and better, birth rates in this country plummeted. As soon as women got the rights, birth rates plummeted. You give women the rights across the planet, birth rates will drop. Population will stabilise. We need every hand that we can get today to clean this planet up and to build a society worth leaving for our children. Because, you know, whether you go to heaven, whether you go to hell, who knows what happens, really, once we're gone. But at the end of the day, them children that are here today, they're the ones that are going to be left to pick up the pieces. And at the moment, what they're facing is debt slavery. That's the rock bottom fact of it. And when I tell you, when the last of this generation, adults' generation's eyes close, there'll be no going back. There will be no going back. You're looking at a whole population born into debt slavery. And believe you me, they will lay it on thick. You know how the winners get to write history? Yeah, well, they're winning, aren't they? At the end of the day, they are winning if we are prepared as a nation to accept a government whose policies have been created by a senior advisor, has been creating these policies that have left children in Britain in serious poverty. You know, and not only that, we've also got the horrible increase in children being removed from their parents for no reason, really, you know. And again, I'm not going to show you the long list. Yes, I know that there's people that abuse their children, who just aren't capable of looking after their children. They need help. The children need to be protected. I'm not disputing that, but I'm sorry, it's gone to ridiculous levels. People are losing their children because of a possible future emotional risk. Future emotional risk, okay? So it's not even a risk of physical or sexual damage. Future emotional risk, that is enough to remove a child from a parent. For good. The parent is not allowed to see the child. They're not allowed to send them cards. You know, that's it. Contact ceased. And I've highlighted one example because to me, this is the most horrendous thing. I mean, I can't believe, I cannot believe that this woman was taken into hospital. She wasn't taken into hospital, she was sectioned. She was taken into a mental hospital, a psychiatric unit. And she was given a forced cesarean. Okay, she didn't even know. She woke up, her baby had gone. Out from her womb, her baby was taken and given to somebody. She never even saw her baby. And what was this woman's crime? Had she ever abused a child? No. The 35-year-old, who cannot be named for legal reasons, reportedly came to Britain last summer when heavily pregnant for a training course. So she came to Britain for a training course. She doesn't even live in Britain. She had a panic attack connected to a failure to take regular medication for an existing bipolar condition and was restrained and sectioned under the Mental Health Act. So basically, if you've got bipolar and you have a panic attack and you're pregnant, cut that baby out of your womb and give it to somebody else quick. Seriously. You know, is this 2014 or is it 1014? The local health trust won a court order for the birth to be carried out by caesarean section and was taken into interim care. So she's still been unable to get her child back. She said, I want my daughter back. I'm suffering like an animal. She has been treated like an animal. She has been treated like an animal. And what disturbs me as well is that, you know, Europe hasn't been able to do anything about this, or the Italian courts. And they've even tried to take her members of the baby's extended family have been willing to take the little one into foster care, but British social services have ignored them. So the child's family live in Italy, but actually, you know, they're just going to be cut out of that child's life. So it's like dot to dot, isn't it, really? You know, you've got Patrick Rock, senior government advisor, and then you've got loads of children, all been taken and removed from the parents. Well, you know, when a child's removed from its parents, it's vulnerable. That child is vulnerable. And when you look at the scale of abuse that took place in the children's homes, you know, again, the list is endless. Nottingham, Jersey, Northampton, parts of North Yorkshire's littered children's home stories, children being taken from there by paedophile rings, abused, no questions asked, kids just thrown away on the scrap heap, become tomorrow's alcoholics, problem people, people who can't get on in life because, you know, it really screws you up. And I know, I'm a survivor. First 17 years of my life, I was abused. You know, I'm not going to go into the details, but I was abused for 17 years of my life, growing up in this country. And I survived it. I survived the social services, the police, everybody, ignore. Okay? And I tried to get on in this world, I really did. You know, and I know what it's like to get so far in life and then to come back with those flashbacks and wham, you're back on the floor and they've got you all over again, and it kills you inside. It does. Because it's like there's no escape from these people, you know. And as I say, it took me another 15 years to get over the memories, to the extent that I can sit here now and talk to you and talk about this very subject. Because I tell you, a few years ago I wouldn't have been able to sit and talk to you about this. And to me it's absolutely devastating to think I wake up and my abusers are now running my country. That's how I feel. That is how I feel. That my abusers are running my country. You know, and then we've got things like G4S children's homes. Here we go. G4S. Oh, look. It's a bit camouflaged. Their logo. G4S. Our residential children's home seeks to provide quality, professional and safe care for young people. Yeah. Oh, and a risk to themselves or others. So, G4S, who are they? You know, G4S, a global security corporation. And they're an Israeli-owned corporation. And in fact, they are a subsidiary of Mossad, Israeli intelligence. And their profits fund Israeli intelligence. You know, and I'm not getting into the debate about Israel. Apart from to say, well, it goes beyond child abuse, you know, blowing up children. For what reason? Because they're Palestinian. You know, oh, we need to kill some terrorists. We don't care that there's children living in the building and families who've got nothing to do with terrorists. They're just people living their lives who have the fortune, really, to be born in their own country. But no, actually, it's their misfortune to be born in their own country, isn't it? Because we've got, you know, people saying, well, no, actually, we're claiming this country. So, you know, mass child abuse there. Except, you know, they blowed the children up. And our government has supported that. Our government has supported those children. What's happened to them? Our government supported it. David Cameron, he got up, he said, I support Israel. And now we've got Israel, look, they are running children's homes in Britain. Okay? And, you know, people are picking up on it. Now, this was a story I picked up on a couple of years ago, that, you know, a couple of months ago, a man, Simon Herbert, planning application to convert a house children's home in Buckinghamshire. But the children's home provider wasn't Simon Herbert, the man from a village up the road. It was G4S, the world's largest security company. Headquarters Crawley, close to Gatwick Airport. G4S did not appear on the planning application. And that wasn't the only odd thing about it. It's on the council's website for members of the public to read. The document bears a cheery logo, 4 smiley faces and the slogan, Caring for Children. So who wrote it? Perhaps the local authority, Children's Services Department? No, the document is by G4S, yet the company name appears nowhere on it. So they are buying houses in Britain. They're converting houses. And this isn't just happening in Aylesbury, it's happening all over the country. Again, I could get all the links up, I could be here all day to go and show you every place. But they are buying children's homes like nobody's business. So, you know, children are going to have to live in those homes, aren't they? Otherwise they're not going to make a profit, are they? Because they are a corporation. And how are they going to make any money unless they get children into those homes? And how are they going to get children into those homes unless they remove them from their parents? And again, yeah, children get into trouble. There's problem children, problem families, problem parents. There's always going to be children need looking after. But surely we can do better than having to invite a foreign global security firm to look after our children, so they can make a profit from it. And these people, when you look at a child, these children living in child poverty, okay? These children running around on the streets in these neighbourhoods where 50 and 70% of the children are growing up in poverty, right? They're people on your low wage, working tax credits, benefits, income support. That's where those children, okay? And those people are on less than £15,000 a year. A lot of these families are living on less than £15,000 a year. That's 2 parents, 2 children. And that's including all the benefits that they get. All these stories about, families need to get £50,000. Sorry. No, reality is you're on less than £15,000 and life is hard. So, you've got 2 parents working to bring their children up, 40 hours a week, they're earning less than 20,000. Let's be a bit generous and say, all right, 20,000 is hard enough to live on in this society. Okay. And these people are earning that. Well, G4S, they get about 150 grand for 1 child per year. Okay? 1 child in care, 150 grand. How many children do you need to make a profit? And so I do have to ask myself the question as to how it is that a nation, a government of a nation, can afford to pay a foreign global security firm £150,000 a year for looking after 1 child, but meanwhile 2 parents working full-time in Britain cannot afford to feed their children hardly. They're on 15 grand, 15,000, working full-time, 2 parents. What is going on? What's going on? I want to know that. I do. I really do. I want to know who you people are in Britain. You vote. Why are you voting for these people? Why are you voting for these people? Why aren't you outside Parliament waving your sticks? Anything. But it's the silence that kills. It's the silence, the nothingness, the just nothingness at all. And I don't know what to say, except I wake up and I see my abusers on TV. David Cameron, he's an abuser, he's a child abuser. His policies have abused the children of Britain, and he's put them at risk. He's put them at risk, he's made them vulnerable to more children being abused. And if people of Britain can't wake up and fight for their own children's bloody rights, fuck the lot of you, that's all I can say. Fuck the fucking lot of you.